Um, anyone?
I can go first.
Okay.
Okay, it's
Okay.
recording now, so it should be good.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just using like the questions from like the assignment where it says like briefly discuss like each group member. Is that what you all are doing?
Is that where it's like, hang on, it's talking about, oh
It's like
yeah,
where,
and then like
where
after this interview, what's your sense of normal, that kind of thing?
yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay,
So
perfect.
where are you guys? Is it on the
It's not
Google HOA
Tyler. It's
link
like
or the parent interview link?
it's like the
Yeah.
hangout thing.
It's like the discussion board on it.
It's not the parent one, it's the Google HOA.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
That one.
Yeah. So it says ensure each group member takes about 5 to 10 minutes. So the first question is briefly share some points of the interview. So with mine, hold on. Okay. I interviewed one of my friends, and she has a 18-month-year-old, and I emailed our teacher just because I knew I was 2 years old, but she said 18 months was okay. And so I interviewed him, and he doesn't have a special, he's not special needs or has anything really that she knows of. But basically, what we talked about there was he's actually pretty advanced kid. So he's really good with talking. So she talked a lot about like comparing like other children, like not trying to compare in a bad way, but just trying to see really how like where he was at. So she saw that definitely like the talking that he was being a lot more like using two-word sentences and all that. She says that with walking, sometimes he's like not the most stable, but that she doesn't think it's a problem. And then let's see. Something that was interesting was that she talked about how both her and her husband both talked a lot when they were kids. So, maybe that kind of just got passed down. They were very talkative as little kids. And also, he started teething at 4 months. So that was like really, really early compared to a lot of his cousins. And then, let's see. The other one was what's your sense of normal and what does normal mean? So for me, normal just kind of means whatever is, I don't know, we talked a lot about like being developmentally appropriate and then like age appropriate. And so I think normal is more of like according to their development. If they're growing, then to me that's normal. And so I don't think there's really like a way of what looks normal, but just as long as they're developing and there's not anything really like impeding them, then to me that's what normal is. And then the next question was, did you find that the parents were often the last to know if there was a delay or problem with the child? Well, this one doesn't really apply because um, he didn't have a disability. So then the next one is, do you get a sense that the parents were uncomfortable or had a sense of denial, shame, embarrassment related to their child's special need? I was really surprised that she was like super like confident, even though she didn't think that he had a special needs problem. Like she was totally okay with just like saying how it was and just like yeah. So I thought that was interesting. But that is my one.
Your interview. Perfect. That's cool.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you
I
okay. Do you want me to go next or do you? I don't care.
I don't care. I can go next if you want.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So I interviewed my sister for this. She has 5 kids. And 3 of them are born preterm.
Okay.
Um, so they were little preemie babies. But so I kind of talked to her about her firstborn, who's 10 years old now. Um, and he was born like 32 weeks, 28 weeks. Some are crazy. Like he was really little. So
Oh.
but he doesn't have like any development issues. But so I just kind of talked to her and I asked her just um I just kind of asked her questions like if she was worried that he was going to have any like development problems when he was born, and then if she's noticed anything and in comparison to like to her other kids. And she just said that the doctors told her things like he might not be able to play things like football when he gets older just because he's going to be more fragile, but for the most part he should be normal. And she said that that's been pretty accurate. But even so now, like, he can play rough and tough, and he has fun, and he's just like developed great, and he's
Good for him.
smart. Yeah, like he's smart, and he's so nice, and he's just, and like he plays soccer, and he like runs around with all of his little guy friends, and they just laugh and play, and like super cute. And so that was cool. And then so in regards to like sense of normal, so kind of like what Maureen said, just I think that they're developing around where they should be for their age. I know that there's like kind of a lag or an excel for some kids, and so you can't really compare your kid to other kids all the time because someone else might learn how to walk first, or it might take them longer to talk or something like that. But I think as long as there aren't any like red flags, I think that would be normal, of just making sure that, like Maureen said, that there's nothing impeding that kind of development or any kind of red flags. So for about the question of if the parents were the last to know, that wasn't really it wasn't really accurate because her kids aren't disabled. But I guess they were more aware because he was born premature, so they were more on the lookout for anything. But there aren't any issues, so they're not really on the lookout. They don't need to anymore.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like uncomfortable or had a sense of denial or anything like that, she didn't. She was really like, she's very aware of her kids, and she was very like matter of fact, like, yeah, we just checked to make sure, like, he has asthma, so we just checked to make sure it's under control, or we knew he was going to be a little bit more fragile, so we adjusted it and made sure that other kids didn't play too rough with him when he was little and things like that. But for the most part, I noticed that while she was matter of fact about his health, she was like really positive overall, of like, yeah, but he's great, and like he's growing so great, or he's so smart, or he's so nice. And so I think that's one of the things I mentioned like in the paper was, I just noticed, like, I think it helps for the kids' development when the parents are positive about their kids, because I think it creates a cycle. Like, if the kid's always hearing, you can't do that because you're going to get hurt, like, or you can't do that because you're not strong enough, then the kid starts to like internalize it and doesn't try things anymore. And I think it kind of becomes a cycle. Whereas if the parents are positive and they're like, yeah, just try it, just be careful, or things like that, then the kid gets more confident, and then I think their development goes better. So that was kind of my thought on it that I mentioned in the paper. But yeah, so that's kind of what I had for it.
That's cool. That's so crazy that he was born so early and there's no like developmental delays or anything.
Yeah, it's a little miracle baby.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. So she has 5 kids?
Yeah, she has 5 kids. One of them was born at like 26 weeks, and he lived for like 6 months, and he didn't make it. So, so she has 4 kids here, but she has 5 kids total. So
there you go.
Yeah.
One that's already perfect.
Yeah. They're like, they are so strong about it. I'm like, you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
They have so much faith about it. They're like, we know he's doing missionary work on the other side. So I'm like, okay, that's so great.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, I'll do mine. I also interviewed my sister. She isn't married, single mom. Dad is still in her baby. He's a boy. He's like 2.5. His name's Porter. I probably shouldn't say his name for confidential, whatever. Anyway, he's so great. But what was I gonna say? Oh, just the background. She's 25. Had him right before they were gonna get married, and they didn't. So she's just been raising him kind of by herself. But she lives with my parents still, and so they're able to help her, and she's able to learn from my parents. Like, influences what they know with us kids. Let's see what I want to talk about. Um, he doesn't have any disabilities. My sister does have a learning disability. She has a lot of trouble with like reading and language and comprehension and that kind of thing. And so as she gets older, she's kind of curious to see if he has any issues with that as well. But she reads to him now. He's only 2.5, so he really just likes the pictures, and it's good for him to read, so that's what she does. He has a few word sentences. He's getting really good at recognizing, shapes and colors and animals and what animals make what sounds, so it's really fun. Let's see, he was born 2 weeks premature, so it really didn't have any effect on him whatsoever. When he was born, he had a breathing problem, so they kind of thought that it might affect how much oxygen was getting to his brain, and so they thought maybe that'll affect his learning, but so far that hasn't shown anything. So we'll see about that. I'm sure he'll be fine. As to what is normal, what I think is normal, I think that there are a lot of kids that are normal, but people don't think they are. I think that normal is a broad range. I think that averages are, I don't think that an average is one single point. An average is between here and here, and so people think that this isn't normal and this isn't, but it really is. So I feel like a lot of people are normal. Porter, my sister's baby, I think he's normal. I think that all of my nieces and nephews are normal. I mean, each personality is different, so I think they're normal. Since he doesn't have a disability of any kind, I don't think that my sister or his dad was the last to know about anything. If anything, my sister was cautious about it in the beginning because she knows that she has trouble with learning, and so she's able to help him if he has a learning disability, just like she does. With the last question, with the sense that the parents are comfortable with it, she's comfortable with it. Having trouble with reading is something that is difficult, but it's not impossible. And so, there's lots of programs in schools and preschools and home programs that a parent can work with a child on, and I'm sure that that's what she's planning on doing. So they're just kind of taking it day by day. He's just a little boy, so they're just having lots of fun. So that's who I interviewed.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, there was one thing I guess I didn't mention with mine, that my friend mentioned that her husband was diagnosed with ADHD when he was like growing up, but that like when they started dating and all that stuff, like she was like very anti against like drugs or whatever, and so she just kind of like taught him to just not because she didn't want him to take the drugs, but just like was trying to help him out in that sense, and so he like stopped taking them, and then he was fine. And so she just commented, like, kind of in, like, a funny way, wasn't really, I don't know, taken seriously, but, like, how she thinks sometimes he's, like, super hyper. But, I mean, at that age, at 18 months, like, he's going to be excited about, like, everything.
Oh, yeah.
So
Expect him to be crazy.
Yeah, so I guess that's just one of them, that she's just like, well, maybe he will have something, but she didn't seem too worried about it, so.
I like that she is, like, trying approaches to help it without like resorting to medicines first. Like, I think that's awesome, because I think not that there's problems with medicines. I think that they can be helpful in the right time. But I think
better, more efficient ways.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of other great solutions to try out first before resorting to like, okay, you're gonna be on medicine the rest of your life,
Yeah, I agree. My oldest sister Heather, her oldest son, has ADHD, and so before. So it's difficult, but she got married, and that's Mike, my brother-in-law's son, and so he was on. Mikey is the boy. He was on ADHD medicine and a lot of different other medicines for how hyper he was, and she's like, "Why is he on this? It's just making it worse." And so she just decided, let's try to take him off. If it doesn't work, then we can put him on again. But she just, if you regulate the diet, and they took like walks all the time, and they had lots of more exercise so he can get that energy out, and he was better focused in school. And so she just thought, if you just put 30 minutes of playtime in the day, it might help a ton. And with little kids like that, it's so good for them, and they learn so much when they play too. So
Yeah.
For sure.
Mhm.
I
I
would
think it takes effort. I think sometimes medicine is like the lazy way out. Not every time, but I think sometimes it is, and I think
yeah, certain times.
yeah.
I agree. And I
Yeah.
feel like the medicines don't quite give you the full benefit of doing like activities as a family. Like it'll build their memories and fun times on top of just helping with the difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Mhm.
my sister-in-law and my brother, they have really active kids. Like their kids are the ones that have like high energy all day and then they crash at night and then they get up and they have high energy all day. And so she's awesome. Like she has like a really good diet routine for them and so like she's feeling their bodies the right way.
Yep.
And then on top of that, she like even before they were in school, before they like when they were like preschool age and younger, she would just take them out on field trips. Like she'd like plan out her weeks and like 3 times a week take them out to go see like a fish hatchery or go to a museum or go to like a science fair or something. You know, just so they can like get their energy out, but like be in a productive way.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, I think she knew that she would go crazy if she was at home, and she knew it was better for them because they had all this energy that they were getting out, and she signed them up for all these like little kid sports and just like she just like she approached it the right way instead of
Yeah.
just going crazy. And I think I think that's kind of the like your sister did. Like I think that's just the route to take it of just
Yeah. I
customize for the kids. So
and it's best for them, for their well-being. I would so much rather go on a run than to take medicine. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
especially if it's going to be the rest of your life. Like
Mhm.
and there's better benefits than just taking medicine than to playing outside with your brothers and sisters or something like that. It's
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I think it's also good because you're teaching your kids how to cope with what they have. Like you're
yeah,
teaching them solutions to their issues versus you're always going to need medicine, so just take medicine. Like I think it's a
yeah,
healthier routine to get them on something else to cope with those kinds of issues than to just tell them like drugs are great.
Yeah, for sure. There was another part I get with the interview that we didn't really talk about, which was like, so it said like if we didn't interview someone who had special needs, like try to talk to them about like their opinion on special needs children or like if they feel comfortable. Did you guys see that one? That
yeah,
part? Okay, so I thought it was interesting that even though like for me personally, like I've never really had anyone close to me who has like special needs issue, like maybe a learning disability, but something like very like mild.
hmm
Um, but she talked about a lot of how she like always just had like a love for kids with special needs. That in high school she actually took a kid to prom who we don't know exactly what he had, but something with like lacking social skills. So he like didn't really understand like when it was appropriate to do a lot of things. And so she ended up just taking him to prom and like the mom had to like call her because like they thought it was like a joke 'cause, like I guess that had happened before, so they had to like talk about it. Yeah, and she just was like she had a lot of love for kids with special needs, and then she talked about one individual in like her primary class because she is in primary who just like she wasn't sure what he had, but he just showed a lot of aggression. He's like hit a lot of the kids and was like really out of control. Um, and that they tried to tell the mom, and supposedly like the mom like said that they went to the doctor, but they weren't able to find out exactly what it is. And so she doesn't know anything more about that. But yeah, just adding that into it.
it's good.
um,
You go.
no, I was just gonna say, that kind of reminded me. So like for the normalcy part, I don't know how it reminded me, but it made me think of this. For the normalcy question about like what is normal, my brother, their baby, it took him a long time to learn how to like walk, but he was chatting like really really early on. I remember at the same time there was like another kid in the ward that was the exact same age, but he was walking like crazy fast. I remember they felt a lot of pressure because those parents were like, "Oh, your kid's not walking yet? That's crazy. My kid's almost running," and blah blah blah, and like they were feeling really stressed out, but and so like and then finally like their kid finally started walking and all that stuff. But then he started like chatting really like he just was really good at talking. Like he could have really full sentences, you could have conversations with him, and he was really good at just
That's awesome.
having conversations. And then the other baby didn't. Like the other baby had a really hard time and like just was really slow developing as far as like cognitive skills and things like that. And so there's like it kind of taught us that like you can't compare your babies to other people's babies. Like every baby has its own timeline and its own sense of normal, and like you can't if you spend all your time comparing like, oh my gosh, my kid doesn't know how to sing all the ABCs yet, and this other kid knows like
Yeah.
knows how to multiply things. Yeah, like you're gonna go crazy, and so it's just like focus in on your baby and don't like and just like look for red signs like and
Yeah, I mean, there's red flags, but there's also like normal things. It takes some time. I mean, there's a range. You start teething from 6 to 10 months. I mean, it could happen.
right. And if there's an issue, just like go to the doctor and be like, does this seem okay? Like,
Yeah.
and then they'll let you know. But I think a lot of it's just not getting stressed. But it's interesting because the kid that was walking really soon, he actually has. I think that they've found out that he has like some kind of range on the autism spectrum. Like because he was in my Sunbeams class with like I was a Sunbeam teacher, and he and my nephew were in the class together. And my nephew is just like he's really sociable, and he could chat and he could have conversations and he could comprehend what you were saying, and it's like a little mini person. And then this other kid, he was really big and really strong physically, but mentally like he was still like nursery age in his mind, and so it was hard, and it was kind of sad to see that like
Comprehend is fast.
yeah, and I felt bad for the parents because they're almost kind of boastful about how their kid could like walk and do all this physical stuff first, and then now like they're like, oh, like our kid needs a little bit extra help, like there's something a little bit off.
Yeah.
But I think it taught everyone in the situation like you can't be comparing. Like it's just like there's a general range you need to look at, but for the most part, like you can't compare because it won't. Every kid's different.
Yeah.
I agree with that. My husband's cousin, I think he's a cousin. Yeah, he's a cousin. He's about my age. He has Down syndrome, but he acts about 11 or 12. Super funny, funniest person I've probably ever met. And that's normal for them. That's normal in their household. And so when you think about what normal, it's really just what you're used to.
Yeah.
And so when people think, oh, is that super hard to deal with, or how do you feel about that? It's normal. We'll just say what is normal and what isn't. So it really just depends on how they develop and, like you said, what red flags happen. I mean, there's certain things that you should look out for health-wise and developmental-wise, but really normal is just what you're used to, I think. So.
And I think like the best approach is like if you feel like there is something that's not normal, like I think if you start stressing out and freaking out about it, I think that can lead to more issues. Like if you're starting to feel a lot of pressure on your kid to why don't you talk or why don't you walk or anything like that, I think it almost starts to hinder it because then they're not discovering it on their own. They're just feeling all this weird pressure that they don't understand. And I think like the best approach is just call the doctor and be like, hey, he's 6 months, he's not doing this yet, is that okay? And just before you make it a big deal in your house and in the routine, just
Gets all out of hand. That's true.
So I think kids pick up on what we do a lot as adults.
Oh, I think that they pick up on way more than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
Even at young ages. I think they're so smart. So smart.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think there was just a last part. So it said it was supposed to be like...
it says it's supposed to be an hour, but we don't...
Exactly. So I think it's good. There's just this last section where it says, what can you learn from the experiences about normative variation, maturational delay, and then some other ones that it talked about. Did you see any themes or patterns occurring in your discussion and findings about your respective interviews?
Something that I saw with my sister is just like we had talked about, just that normal is a big range, and so she's not really worried about, what quote isn't normal, because chances are they're probably fine if they're not physically hurt or hurting themselves. Then that can be normal for that person and that family. So she's just kind of really big on normal, and even though she has a learning disability, that's still normal because a lot of people have it, and you can learn from it and gain really great experiences with it.
Yeah. I think one thing I noticed from like all of our experiences that the parents were very, very just like kind of matter of factish almost about their kids' development. Like if there's going to be issues, they're going to handle it, but they're not. No one was like, oh, I hope my kid doesn't have this problem. Like I'm not going to be able to do it. Like like no one reacted like that. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm just taking it as it comes, and if there's an issue, then we'll handle it. Like. No one's like, I'm giving my kid up for adoption if she, like they can't read or whatever. Like everyone's, all the parents are like supportive of their kids. So.
Yeah. I think it. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said, well, it's just really important for parents to do that for their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think it like taught me a lot, just like personally, because I feel like even though I'm not married, but I still think about when I am married or when I have children, just like how I would react if my child had like a special needs, something that came up or whatever. But I think something that's important that I've learned a lot in my classes and just in the interviews is that you really just have to be proactive about it, and just like as long as you're doing the little things when they're younger, like they're gonna be fine. Like there's not one set way to like do this, and if they're not speaking at whatever age, it's not like a huge deal, because in my literacy class we always like emphasize like reading. A lot of parents freak out when their little kids can't read, because they like think they need to be reading by kindergarten, and so they like freak out when it's really not necessary. Like they are really not supposed to like be reading or really having that instruction until they're like 7 or 8 years old or something.
Yeah.
I was really young. I remember having difficulty reading and thinking, why do I need it?
I know. I think I had that for math.
Oh my gosh, but still,
always. Yeah, always.
Hated
math. Don't like it though. I would so much rather write a big paper than do a few math problems.
Yes.
Oh yes, yeah.
I agree so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think this is okay. I mean,
yeah. I think it's okay too. With 3 of us, I mean, we've been on here for what, 35 minutes, 40 minutes?
Yeah, we got on at 7 too, and we just were waiting.
So I think this is okay. Rivka, do you turn it in since you started it?
Yeah, I guess so. Do I just turn it in on the?
It's just like right here with the questions. You just hit new thread, and then you like put the URL thing in, and then with our names, and then that's it.
Sweet. That seems easy.
So that's easy.
Okay.
That's good
All right.
That's good chat.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.